Allow me to set the stage. As IB students, you are already thinking about the final obstacle of your senior year, IB exams, which is 2 weeks full of potentially stressful papers. Although your teacher will prepare you very well for English Paper 2, you can't know what kind of poem or passage you will receive for Paper 1. As the test supervisor gives the word for your reading period to begin, you will quickly open the packet and see a new poem and passage to analyze. But what is this? Till I renounce milk and honey? Thin as a rib? Python? What does this refer to? The answer, class, is the Bible, therefore making this a biblical allusion. But what is a biblical allusion? This is the topic of today's video. Biblical allusions are one of the most likely forms of allusions to be found in literature. In the words of Thomas C. Foster, author of How to Read Literature Like a Professor, when in doubt, it's either from Shakespeare or the Bible. But what is a biblical allusion? Oxford Dictionary defines it as relating to or contained in the Bible, and an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly, an indirect or passing reference. In simple terms, an indirect reference to the Bible. That's the definition, but it doesn't tell you why this is important for your IB paper, or how to recognize a biblical allusion when you see one. Let's first tackle why this is important. First off, Christianity is the #1 practiced religion in the world with 2.1 billion followers of various denominations. Even if you aren't Christian or a member of another faith, allusions to the Bible are everywhere. From the currency we use, the books we read, to the names people give their children, biblical allusions can be found everywhere and used for almost any situation. And since biblical allusions are everywhere around you, it is just as likely they affect authors and poets, no matter what time period the work of literature you are studying originates from. Therefore, in context of analyzing, it is important to have more than a basic understanding of the Bible because allusions to it are present in so many forms of literature. Likewise, the Bible is a broad text in terms of content, that the meaning of a piece of literature may be lost or weakened without understanding the biblical allusions within the piece. Now that the importance of the biblical allusions has been established, it is necessary to know how to approach the Bible in preparation for your exam. First question of Bible 101. What is the Bible? The Bible is a compilation of several texts by a variety of authors from as early as 3,000 years ago. Each text is referred to as a book, and overall the Bible contains 66 books. These books are divided into 2 large sections. The Old Testament, which is also the combination of the Jewish holy texts of the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, contains 39 books, and the New Testament contains 27. Due to the fact Christianity contains so many different translations, the verbiage of a Bible may vary, but the stories of each book are essentially the same. These books are then grouped according to their contents. The Old Testament is divided into the books of law, books of history, books of poetry, and the books of prophecy. In the same fashion, the New Testament is divided into the books of gospel, the Acts of the Apostles, letters, and Revelations, which is a book of prophecy for only the New Testament. It isn't necessary to fully read the whole Bible to understand most allusions. After all, studying the Bible is more the work for a theologian, which is someone who studies religion, or a biblical scholar. In addition, as IB students, and seniors on top of that, You have very little time or effort to attempt such an endeavor. For all the overachievers, you can stop the video right now and attempt to learn this on your own. All the overachievers gone? Great, so let us begin with one of the most popular biblical stories to allude to, Adam and Eve. To summarize, in the book of Genesis, the second story of the Bible describes how God created a special garden called Eden, where many different types of plants were housed. God then created the first man, who would be known as Adam, and God's only rule was don't eat fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God then created Eve, the first woman, out of the rib of Adam, to be company for Adam. All was good and well, till Eve was tempted by a serpent to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Eve ate the forbidden fruit, and then tempted Adam to do the same. The knowledge they received from the tree made them realize that they were naked, and became ashamed and hid. God, in response to the breaking of his only rule, he cast out Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. God also then placed an angel and a flaming sword at the entrance of Eden so humanity could never enter again. There were other consequences and more details to the story, but for the sake of being brief, that is one of the most popular stories to allude to in the Bible. Take a moment to think about popular culture lately. Eden has come to symbolize paradise, and there are many stories about people questing for a lost paradise. In the same way, eating fruit of the tree of knowledge has been deemed the original sin, known as lust, since eating fruit has been used as an allusion to sex. This story is also about the loss of innocence, as human gain knowledge, and it is impossible to return to being pure. As for an example of this, remember the poem in the intro of this video? The poem is titled Anorexic by Evan Boland. Although milk and honey is a biblical allusion for another time, I believe you can recognize the reference to Adam and Eve. Isn't a rib what Eve came from, and isn't a python another name for a snake? Recognize this story will get a long way in terms of being able to analyze for Paper 1. After all, without knowing the allusions of this poem, you had no idea what the purpose was. One additional biblical allusion to know is the story of Joseph and the multicolored coat. Imagine this. A child is born and receives the gift from its parent. The child has relatives who aren't fully related to them, maybe a step-sibling or a step-brother, who becomes jealous of the child's gift. This relative then does everything in their power to destroy that child's gift. Does this archetype sound familiar? Good. It's the plot that has been a part of our childhood for generations. Doesn't the story of Joseph and his coat sound a lot like Cinderella? Joseph's half-brothers were jealous of his multicolored coat, a lot like Cinderella's step-family was jealous of her beauty and kindness. Both families tried to destroy the gifted child. Joseph's brothers thought to kill him, but ended up selling him into slavery. In a less harsh way, Cinderella's family treated her like a servant, and then attempted to keep her from the ball. I bet you never thought a fairy tale would be linked to the Bible. In fact, another fairy tale ties both Adam and Eve to Joseph and his multicolored coat. Does the name Snow White ring any bells? After all, like Joseph, Snow White's mother gifted Snow with beauty. And wasn't Snow White's stepmother jealous of that beauty? Didn't the evil queen attempt to take Snow's life so no one could be more beautiful than her? And when the evil queen's multiple attempts at Snow White's life failed, didn't the queen disguise herself and then tempt Snow to eat a poisoned apple? One might say a forbidden fruit. If you were able to answer all these questions and see the biblical allusions after a brief introduction from this video, you will be able to learn several more in preparation for your exam. To conclude, I hope this video was a good introduction to biblical allusions. But understand, There are several more stories in the Bible that authors and poets draw from for inspiration, and archetypes for characteristics. If I attempted to cover them all, it would be a rather long video and would defeat the purpose of this video being a simple introduction and explanation to a relatively complex literary strategy. If looking for more information on this topic, head to your local library or bookstore and see about getting a Bible, if only for educational reasons. For those individuals that don't need an in-depth reading of the Bible, look into getting a children's Bible. With or without pictures is for your own personal preference. Most children's Bibles cover the stories in the Bible that are alluded to more often, and you will be able to get more insight even if some of the more complex themes are lost. I hope you found this video to be an informative introduction to biblical allusions and wish you well on your IB exams. Thank you for watching.